G'day, brothers. Welcome back. And been a busy couple of months. Let me tidy this up a bit. G'day, hammerheads. Welcome back to the bench. And today we are taking a look at the new Bosch SDS Clean drill bits. So I've also got the old style here. Somehow I've never managed to actually use this one, but they are both 14 millimeters, so the same size. And we'll be comparing them like for like in a minute. But why don't we just take a look at how things have improved. So the old one looks a bit weird. It's a drill bit with no like spirally flutes going on there. Chisel tip has two little holes on there, and those holes go all the way through to, there you go, can you see that? So the new one, aside from being a little shorter, so, you know, using up less material, less steel there, quite a few nice little features going on. So firstly up front, that is a 4-cutter, so that'll go through rebar nicely, and then that actually rotates in this steel tube. And then one of the bigger improvements with this is the entire thing, you don't need to throw out the entire thing when the tip runs out. You can actually just replace the drill bit part itself. So that's held into that tube there. It's got a couple of pins running in a groove, and you can actually, drill bit is just a Bosch Clean drill bit, which, you know, fairly new, but very, very good. Hot tip, Bosch owns Diablo. So these are the exact same drill bits as the Diablo Rebar Demons. They're just painted blue instead of red. And of course, they just made this kind of drill bit with, you know, a smoother shaft. They've ground down the side so the dust gets through nicely. This little part's pretty nice too. It's like a little ball detent chuck sort of thing going on there. And there you go. She is a nice little unit. Then about the pricing. So this one, 150 they reckon is the retail price. See there, 149. Whereas this one, yeah, 90 retail for the full package, or 75 for those parts there, the drill and the sheath, or 25 for the vacuum attachments. Pretty impressive that they've got it cheaper than that one, but if you think about it, this drill bit is going to be a lot easier to make than something like this, especially if you've got to drill the steel all the way through there to get that hollow in there. So if you look at the package, not too much going on here, but it does say that represents 25 times better particle control compared to their previous pro grade drill bit. So 25 times better basically means, what is that, 96% of dust is going to get captured, so you might get 4% leakage. So what do you actually run these with? Well, I've only got this little Milwaukee vacuum 32 millimeter attachment on there, and the new one fits inside there, which is very handy, whereas the old one fits outside like that. The old one also had these little vents as well because, I don't know, sometimes you would just have too much suction. I assume that would lock up the turning if you had too much suction, so that's why they'd have these vents on here. So that's enough yapping, let's get drilling. And I actually want to see if the difference in like suction area on these things makes any kind of difference. So why don't we break out the high speed and see if we can see that dust flying around. Let's go. Okay, so I just put this concrete block up here in the sun, so we get nice good high speed footage, and I'm just going to be using the old Bulldog, and that's my little vacuum for today. So first up is the old drill bit, and then we'll hit the new drill bit. Okay, so just from that quick little test, I could tell one thing even without looking at the high speed, and that was the new one actually had a little more external debris, probably because the vacuum is coming from behind the drill head, whereas on the old one, it's actually right up the front there. So that's probably the 4% uncaptured debris that Bosch is talking about on the packet there. So just watch out for that if you're in a really sensitive area. Okay, so now I've just got another block set up. This one's nice and tall, so drill in pretty deep. Let's see how fast they go. The drill bit, I always find it weird using these bits because, you know, the drill bit kind of just disappears in there. There's not all this dust and everything. But then this one narrows quite a lot compared to the drill head. And so you end up with all this play in there. And you kind of feel like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm actually drilling straight because there is all that room. Whereas with this one, it goes in. And that tube takes up a lot more room in the hole. So the new one definitely just like messes with my head a lot less than the older ones do. Now, I bet some of you have already commented about my little vacuum here. This is not a proper M-class dust extractor. I don't have one. A lot of you probably don't either. But that is what you're supposed to use. M is for medium hazardous dust. There's also H for high level hazardous stuff like asbestos dust and things like that. And there's also L class for regular household dust, kind of things like that. This one isn't any class at all. So, you know, for proper protection, you really should be using an M class dust extractor with these things. M class because they do have a slightly better HEPA filter than your regular ones. There are, of course, different classes of HEPA filter as well. But then they've also got differences in, you know, how you empty it. H class, you can empty the thing without ever being exposed to it, without releasing it to the environment. So anyway, if you don't have an M class extractor, just make sure you protect yourself when you're emptying the damn thing, because that dust is still hazardous. Okay, so I'm actually going to try and wear these things down properly. Going to drill into this quartzite rock here, very hard rock, and I'm also giving my neighbors a break from the noise. Okay, so the dust kept plugging up and the drill is overheating. So, I mean, that's not great. I'll try and cool it off. God damn it, she's stuck. Oh. Okay, so the old one is completely stuck. I've tried to get it out a few different ways, so I'll have to chip that out at the end. For now, I'm just going to keep moving on. So the old one managed to do 6 holes up to that line, and then 2 more up to that line. So I'll do the same with the new one. That way they've gotten the same amount of wear, but also all that drilling is 2 bars on the battery. Press battery. Yeah, well, I got this out, total nightmare. Still just full of dust, look at it. This one, way better. So for the drilling, I really was hoping to wear these things down, but we can measure the diameters. So this one was 14 0.38. 14.22, yeah, that is worn down measurably from, you know, not all that much drilling. And then the new one is, so according to this instrument, hardly any wear at all. So there is a wear mark on here, which is still, you know, basically pristine. It hasn't worn off the original metal surface yet on the wear marks. So now I'm going to do one last thing, and that is see how these guys go drilling through rebar. Okay, so last test, we've got this concrete with 10 mil rebar in there. 10 mil? I forget, I put it in there like 2 years ago. Just try and hit it straight on, and let's see if the old 2-cutter can actually do it at all. So yeah, it is hitting the rebar dead on, but I think maybe this drill doesn't quite have the impact, so I'm sure this much bigger hammer will handle it a lot better. All right, not too bad at all. Okay, let's try this one. Okay guys, so I just terminated that test a bit early. It was already taking way longer than the new drill bit did, but you'll see here, this the drill bit has actually started to walk sideways and eat into the concrete next to the rebar rather than go through the rebar. So if that's what it's doing, that's obviously a bit of a fail. So yeah, no good. Meanwhile, the new one, the Bosch Clean Xpert, nice round hole, went right through. Pretty bloody good actually, isn't it? All right guys, so there you go. Big result there with the rebar. Basically the old one couldn't really get through that rebar at all, even with that giant rotary hammer behind it. And you know, it might have gotten through eventually, but honestly, if it's taken that long, this is clearly not the right tool for the job. You know, go get yourself a rebar cutter or even just a regular twist drill. Whereas with the new one and that bigger drill, yeah, no real problems at all. Unfortunately, these things last so long, it's really hard to get a proper indication of the wear on these things. But I would say this could handle at least another 4 rounds of all of that drilling that I just did before she would start to wear down that indicator. Whereas this one, much more rounded on the cutting surface there on that leading edge and up on the shoulder there. Maybe this could handle another 1 round of all of that. Sorry, I can't be more precise with the lifetimes, but you know, at the end of the day, this guy is so much better. I would say this one is at least 10 times better value overall. Because, you know, it drilled faster, it can get through rebar, doesn't clog up, it doesn't need cleaning nearly as much. But of course, not everything's perfect. A couple of downsides is this thing, a little crunchy going on there after all that drilling, compared to nice and smooth. And also, when I was putting this in the drill, because I change bits quite a lot, putting it in the drill, sometimes I'd knock that release. But really, unless you're making a video and changing bits all the time, I don't think that's really going to happen too much. Then about the pricing, you know, not a massive saving, but it is nice that you can actually buy all the parts separately, because these things are obviously going to wear out. So one last thing, I just want to check how much room is inside here, because, you know, on this one, you can see, well, that's, you know, a lot of room for the dust to go through. Whereas this one, I reckon I might just go chop this quickly, and so we can get a look at how big the tube is inside. Okay, nicely chopped. So there you go, about, what is that, about half? The shaft thickness is just under 11 mil, and the internal diameter, Just under 5. So you can imagine 5 millimeters sucking all of that dust through there. Yeah, you know, gonna block up. Plus there's this little diversion down here and all this other stuff. So this one here, comparatively, I'd say that's about the same cross-sectional area on each side as this one has in total. So yeah, no surprises that the new one sucks a lot better, doesn't jam up. Also, the drill is turning inside there. It is undoing any clogs that happen as it turns. Whereas with this one, you just gotta fuck around with it. All right, guys, so I think that's enough. This is probably gonna be a very long video, but you know what? I love breaking down new innovations, especially when they are gonna really increase your productivity as much as this guy will, while also keeping you safe. Because you know, no bloody job is worth your lungs. So something like this, a lot more usable, a lot less downtime, so much less fucking around, also less cost, as well as a little more drilling speed. This thing really is a game changer if you are drilling concrete and trying to manage the dust. So anyway, that is more than enough yapping from me. Make sure you like and subscribe. I mean, who else would do a video this bloody long about a bloody drill bit? Do all that YouTube stuff, you know, the more subscribers, the more everything that a channel gets, including the ad revenue. So that is what really helps me out, because all this shit, it costs money. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll scratch you later.